Friends, my family, my esteemed colleagues, there is a belief that parasites makes us stupid. That more infested with parasites we are, the lower IQ. And there was 100 years ago, there was a study done by Rockefeller Foundation which determined that children that were more infested with parasites, they had a lower IQ. Now, why do we even go there? Because it is known that certain parasites influence actions of their hosts. For example, there is this hairworm that goes through several stages, and the final stage is in grasshopper and cricket, and is developing there. And once when it's fully developed, it makes the cricket jump in water because it needs water. It lives in water. So on its own, it cannot come through dry land to the water, so it basically influences cricket to jump in the water. So cricket basically drowns, but the parasite, the hairworm, comes out and continues procreating and living. Now, there are also instances that in other animals of similar things. But does parasite lower IQ of its host? Because changing the behavior and IQ, those are different things. We always have to go from a point that nature is created perfect, and there is a reason behind everything that's happening. Now, who benefits from our stupidity? Cabal, Anunnaki, politicians. Actually, it is very, very rare to be a high-ranking politician unless you are either stupid or extremely corrupt. Otherwise you don't get there, because politicians are not chosen by people. They are chosen by those who rule people. We call them cabal, Illuminati, whatever. So when those who from heaven came, the Anunnaki, the fallen angels, the Nephilims, whatever you want to call them, when they came, they needed to make us stupid so they can rule over us. So how did they achieve it? By feeding us grain, by convincing us to eat grain, to showing us how to cultivate it and how then to use it for food. And this, we know, lowers IQ. There was a study done in Japan with the children, a group of children on more or less traditional Japanese diet, and another group on Western diet with a lot of French fries, sodas, and meat, but it is not a meat that should be eaten, and prepared how it should be eaten. And children on the Western diet, potato, pasta, cereals, and all the other crap, their IQ was rapidly dropping, rapidly. Now, why would Parasite be interested in dropping your IQ? Makes no sense. So, my opinion, parasites do not influence us in that way. Now, how come that children that have more parasites, their IQ is lower? Well, we know that the body has different cleansing systems. It has the basic system of cleansing, which goes through kidneys. It has the secondary and tertiary cleansing system, which goes through mucosal tissue and through skin. But as the amount of toxic stuff, of garbage, let's call it garbage, increases in the blood, well, there come help. And now you get bacteria, fungus, that takes care of this garbage. It feeds on the garbage. You detoxify, you lose bacteria and fungus. Now, if pollution is in such a state that even bacteria cannot cope with it, well, that comes a bigger creature, and we call it parasite. Well, parasites we have from one-cell parasites, rickettsias, up to multiple cell parasites, all kinds of worms. Again, we are being told now, yeah, but you see those worms, when they're in your body, they make you stupid. Well, what happens? How do we pollute our body? Yeah, dehydration, not eating salt, so you basically cannot have plasma. More garbage stays in. But then, what is typical for children that are heavily infested with intestinal parasites, for example? Well, they predominantly eat cereals, bread, sodas. So this type of a diet is what lowers the IQ. Deparasiting them and keeping them on the same diet is still going to maintain low IQ. So I don't believe that parasites have anything to do with our IQ. We say, oh, some parasites make us eat certain foods. This could be, but again, what makes us drink coffee? I don't think any parasite really loves caffeine, but we get hooked to it. What makes us love chocolate? I don't think parasites really care about chocolate. It's caffeine or coffee, cacao. Those are toxic substances. How about garlic? Garlic actually is being used for getting rid of parasites. And people are hooked on garlic. So obviously this has nothing to do with programming through parasite. So I don't buy in this way of thinking. It is obvious that wrong diet will lower our IQ. Why? Because brain is extremely energy hungry. Because every time you think you are transmitting. And this takes a lot of power because you are transmitting universally. And this is why brain uses way more energy than muscle. Even in hard physical working people, even in bodybuilders, it's the brain that takes a lot of power. Hi, Scotty. So, what happens? I explained many times. Because brain uses a lot of energy, it needs to be supplied constantly with a lot of power. And because we know that through sugar, energy is being made much faster than through fat. So now, belief is, and a lot of scientists believe that at least brain needs to have steady supply of sugar. Well, this is nonsense, because no matter how deprived of energy are the cells, they are not going to allow sugar to come from blood to produce energy. And this is why insulin has to be always present in the blood when we are living, when we accept to be fueled with this source of energy. Because something has to force this sugar to come into the cell. We are just not programmed to use sugar as our primary energy source. This is why we have fat. As I explained over glycogen, that glycogen is used only as a booster when our life is in danger. So we need a sudden increase in energy. And we need this increase in energy only in two organs. In brain, because it has to make fast decisions, and in the muscles that have to execute them. And this is where you have glycogen. This is where glycogen is being produced, kept, and utilized. It doesn't go through the body. And then, because there could be instance of this danger prolonged, you're being chased by a bear or a panther, you are running and you are fighting, and now it takes longer than 10 minutes. Well, your muscles and your brain don't have enough glycogen to keep you in this position for longer than 10 minutes. So liver is the only donor. So liver also has glycogen and can actually squirt it into the blood. And then immediately as the sugar jumps in the blood, insulin is being, it's robot. Sensors, switches, programming. So as soon as liver shoots a sugar into the blood, sugar increases, touches the switch, pow, insulin gets produced, shot in the blood, so the cellular membranes can relax and this can be pushed in. So it's a mechanism of stress. Well, we are being fooled into accepting that sugar is our regular primary fuel. Why don't we have storage for it? Well, it's a mistake of a God. God didn't know what he was doing. He was drunk that day when he made us. Well, obviously it's not so. So what happens? Once when you are glucoholic, when you have accepted and trained your body through your genes, reprogrammed it to accept sugar as your basic fuel, now the cells are dependent on it because they lower number of mitochondria. So brain now doesn't have 4,000 mitochondria per cell, but maybe 500, depending how much sugar you get and how often. Because if you take sugar If you take a meal only 3 times a day, well, you have a fuel when you when you charge the cells. It takes about an hour, depending how much you are using the energy. It takes about an hour before the voltage depletes enough for the cell to start asking for signaling for food. And then start accepting triglyceride, but then it does not have enough mitochondria. So it cannot produce enough energy. So signals some more. And this is what increases level of triglyceride in the blood. Doctors say, oh, high triglycerides, don't eat pork, don't eat eggs. Stupid. How stupid can you be? It's because you haven't been eating, you are programmed on sugar. So even when fat energy source comes to the cell, cell cannot produce enough energy because it does not have enough running mitochondria. And doesn't have enough running mitochondria because it is receiving daily supply of sugar through carbohydrates. So what happens with brain? Well, it is underpowered. As soon as you put something in the mouth, chocolate, piece of bread, within a couple minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you already are charged. The brain was, wow, okay. But then, it's explosive fuel. It quickly charges the cell. But remember, you don't have a storage of it in the body. So now you don't eat, and you are studying. So you are thinking, researching. Well, within half hour already, your brain is getting underpowered. So it's asking for fuel. Body has no sugar, so it sends triglycerides. But you have only 500 mitochondria, you don't have 4,000. So you're producing measly less than a quarter of energy that your brain needs. So it's signaling for more. And then it's not getting. So you are getting sleepy, you lose concentration. But let's say you cannot sleep. Somebody's boss is there, looking, make sure that you are doing your job. So now you are getting into frustration. You are getting in a particular situation that you have to perform and you're underpowered. So you are going into stress mode. You are becoming stressed. And by being stressed, now you are producing stress hormones that are tapping into your glycogen level. And they are taking glucose and they are feeding themselves. But now you are under stress. This is where bipolarity comes in. Bipolarity is exactly this. When you are under stress, again, now you are in a life-threatening mode. This is where you get when you are attacked by a wild beast while defending your life. And you are programmed to be aggressive in this state. So you become aggressive. You snap at people. And what is happening with IQ? Well, brain has no power. It's underpowered. Of course, IQ is down. You cannot think clearly. You are in a fog all the time. And this is what happens to you when you are on the wrong diet. So saying that, and also when you're on the wrong diet, well, this is where you create a lot of garbage. First, you are not detoxifying because you are told not to have salt. So you don't have enough plasma. sicker you get, they even tell you, don't drink much water because your kidneys cannot handle it. Well, kidney is not the only blood cleansing organ. How about mucosal tissue and skin? Well, nobody thinks about it. You can drink. Don't worry about it. The other organs will take care of it. But you have problems because you don't have enough water, you don't have enough plasma, because you don't have enough minerals, you don't have enough salt. This is where minerals come from. So, every time, just look at it. Most of the people, I have to go. So, next time I'll continue, but just to let you know that this is, in my opinion, worms are not that make you stupid. What makes you stupid is your stupid diet. Thank you for listening. Till next time. Love you all.